Hi everybody, this is Simon Gaze from BMC. I'm going to walk you through some of the product updates since our 1805 release. Starting with the AWS Service Catalog, followed by Asset Management, which fell into the 1805. Going on from there to 1808 with multi-user requests and subcatalogs. In between some of that, I'll show you the bundles and workflows, followed by some of the features coming up with the progressive web application and a collaboration feature we've also done for 1811. So on that note, I'm going to jump right into the AWS Service Catalog. Why we did this, we currently have an Azure connection and an AWS Marketplace connection, but what we were doing, we were talking to our customers and they were saying that the AWS Marketplace connection was more or less like the Wild Wild West. Developers could come in and get whatever they wanted, and it wasn't really something that they saw would work for their organization. So AWS came to BMC and created a thing called they call AWS Service Catalog. What this allows you to do is allows your cloud administrators to leverage CloudFormation templates to develop AWS services and really get control of reusability, scalability, and security that they want to add in. So what we do then is we integrate or introspect into that catalog and import those into the Digital Workplace catalog, where then you entitle those out to your end users, and they're able to engage and deploy those LAMP stacks and Dynamo databases and so forth into the Amazon infrastructure. So here's going to be a quick demo. I'm going to show you our mobile. I'm going to show it done through our mobile application. Our Digital Workplace works on a universal client, so your web browser, and also has a native iOS and a native Android application. So here you can see I've got my full catalog in front of me. I can scroll up and down, but I'm just going to focus on the AWS, the request of an AWS Service Catalog service. So I'll click on Dynamo. As you see, it comes up. It's got the video, that entire rich profile that is necessary nowadays. I can go in and actually request this now. I can go in and add a product provision name. A lot of other functionality can be exposed to your end users, but for the demo purposes, I've kept it really simple to just a actual product name. So I'm going to call it sgetties45. I'm going to complete this request. So what has happened now is that information I've given it is being passed through Digital Workplace Catalog and out to AWS Service Catalog, where that provisioning is taking place. So if I quickly jump over into the Service Catalog, so this is AWS, I refresh this page, you can see sgetties45 is now being provisioned up in that stack, and email is being sent out to the end user where they can go engage with the stack and do what they need to do with that service. On that note, I'm now going to move into asset management that we've done we also did for 1805, but I'm going to go to my browser to actually do that. So here you can see this is a piece of functionality that has grown over time, starting with our 1802 release, and it's really evolved since then. First of all, it was just the ability to add requests to your My Stuff section. Now we've also added asset management, the actual middle section below here, which tells me as an end user all the assets I have within an organization. So here's a Dell laptop and so on and so forth. But the beauty of this is when I go and click, so say for example my screen broke on my MacBook, I can go report an issue against that. A pop-up will happen here. I can fill out an actual description as broken screen. But the beauty of it is all the information from the CI is pre-populated in this form, so there's no confusion of what manufacturer, what serial number, what model number it was. It's all coming from the CI, so the person in the back office can go and simply address the concern. So on completing this request, all that information is now sent over into the service desk agent to complete this. Other functionality that has come up with this is you can see from the above, I've got different services. A service isn't always a fire and forget. Some of them have day 2 functionality that can be performed against that service. So here I can see here's an EC2 Elastic. I can go and perform, I can report an issue against that. Here's something we've also spun up in Azure. So here, this marketing data, I can deallocate, I can delete, I can restart, I can shut down. SGETTIS 45 was that Dynamo database I actually just deployed on AWS. I showed you from the mobile application. Here, I can come here, click this, and actually terminate. That is now submitting that ticket back over to AWS, where I can go into, I can refresh this, and you can see it is under change, meaning it is being terminated. 8 was the multi-user request. This came from a number of our big customers who do M&As quite a bit, wanting to onboard thousands of employees at one time. So we went and updated our APIs to be able to handle these requests. We also thought, since a new power user has come about over the last couple of years, is that power user who wants to go in there and order things on behalf of people. They use the shopping cart a lot for big bulk orders and so forth, but they also order things on behalf of many people at once. So what we've done here is introduce this multi-user request. So I'm going to go through an example here with this request new computer. So I can click on here. I can see it's a typical request. I can request now for me. I can also go in there and edit and add other people to this request. So I'm going to add Mary, and I'm going to add Bob. So what happens on this request is I can go in there and actually request it for multiple people, and I can add the reason, onboarding, and the type of computer I want for these people. So there's a selection here of Mac, Dell, and so forth. So I'm going to select the Mac Air. I'm going to complete the request. So what happened now is me as Alan, I can see this request many times because I've done the request for the 3 people. But also I'm going to drag another screen over here. Is Bob, as one of the users, this ticket will also get associated to their timeline. So if I push refresh here, you should see another request being added to 1028. So here you can see it's been added, so he can go in there and monitor that. So that was the actual multi-user request. The next piece I'm going to show you is one of our onboarding bundling abilities. So here we've created an onboarding bundle of a new hire. So there's obviously a number of things you have to do around onboarding a new employee. Order a computer, request application access, so on and so forth. Some things can be required. As you can see, there's no option. You must get a mobile phone. Or other things such as setting up a workspace. You may be working from home all the time, so this doesn't have to be included, but it is recommended. And then there's some that are defaulted off, so such as a laptop bag. Everyone has a laptop bag. They may want to offer it, but they do not want to set it as a default to be on. So what I want to show you here is, here's an order form. You go through and fill this out. But the idea, which I'm going to show you in the back end here in a sec, is there's 2 ways to do a workflow for this. You can have each of these as a separate service or a separate request and fire them all off separately. Or you can create one Uber workflow, so you can create dependencies and so forth of when each gets delivered. So I will just flip over into the back end and show you where this happens. So I'm just going to go into here, go to onboarding, find the new hire, and here's going to be an example of, here are all the items I just showed you on that end user experience. Those are all added that way. But in the actual workflow, you can see these are all separated or separate requests. So I can get a bundle together really quickly in this if you don't need actual dependencies be between each workflow. Each of these, once again, will be fired off as a separate workflow and handled separately. The alternative to that is the ability to create one Uber workflow. So this is the exact same the exact same bundle, but the workflow is done differently. So here you can see, here's our actual process designer. Down the left-hand side are all the different activities and actions that can be performed within a workflow. So we've got Active Directory, approval request, AWS, Azure, AO, all the way down to a whole slew of things that can be done or actioned against Remedy, which is obviously one of the big needs on our client base. So just to quickly walk you through some of this, the actual complexities that our workflow can do. So this would be the start of it. I'm able to send the appropriate app notification saying this has been requested. I need an approval in place for the manager to go and approve. I can then go in and start spinning up those access to those systems such as Active Directory. And it comes down, did the person need a computer or not, or didn't need a computer? If they needed a computer, do you want to order the peripherals for that computer? Did they ask for a phone? Did they not ask for a phone? All the way to getting badge. Did they upload a photo for their badge to get their badge and their security credentials in place? Any of the HR related stuff for 401s, for RSPs, and so forth. Access to the office, and so on and so forth. You can see a lot of things can be done, a lot of dependencies can be created throughout this workflow, at the end allowing a successful onboarding experience for the end user. Another piece of functionality we introduced in 1808 was subcatalogs. When working with a number of customers, there's usually a rub between IT and another business unit. It's usually HR. What the pain is the external business unit usually wants things faster, quicker, on their schedule. They want to be able to edit very small things and so forth. IT doesn't have the time to usually deal with a lot of this stuff. So what we've done is introduce the concept of subcatalogs. So I'm going to show you how we go in there and do this. So subcatalog, I have subcatalogs. Currently I'm logged in as an actual administrator of Digital Workplace. I'm able to create an actual new catalog based on whatever business unit is asking for. In this case, I'm going to walk you through those already created. So here's Cloud Services. So me as an administrator, I can go and create one called Cloud Services. I can go in here, select from all the published services in Digital Workplace, assign the cloud services that are applicable to it. In this case, we've taken AWS and Azure and so on and so forth. The next piece I can do is go in and add an administrator. An administrator is someone who can publish actual services, so someone that is reasonably confident in what they're doing with workflows and so forth. And then there's an internal supplier, so you might target this to more people that are doing small edits, adding images and so forth. When they do it, they have to submit things for approval to actually get it published. So there's a level of control there that can be granted. Once you've done this, so you've added your services, you've added the actual actual administrator to the site. When that administrator logs in, what they're going to see, and I'm just going to pop this screen over here, what they're going to see is a catalog specific to their business unit or their needs. So in this case, just the cloud services have been presented here. You can also see the amount of functionality that they have access to is greatly reduced. And most specifically, they're able to go into the actual service request, and instead of getting flooded with all the other requests from IT and so forth, they will only see the request applicable to their actual catalog. So here you can see they're all cloud services and so forth that have been exposed. So at a high level, the introduction of subcatalogs will help IT distribute the workload out to the business units so they can manage their own destiny. Moving on, one of the next big pain points I'm hearing from customers is the distribution of our native mobile applications. Around signing and distributing isn't the easiest experience, and a lot of problems are being had there. So in 1902, which is our February release, we will be redoing our front end user experience to be responsive, angular, modular, and performant. Really meaning that we are going to be developing a progressive web app. What this will allow us to do, or allow your end users to do, is simply go to a URL and favorite that or add it to their home screen, and the actual application will behave in the exact same way as the existing native application. On that note, I'm just going to run you through a quick look and feel of what it looks like. So here I'm clicking on it. I'm able to log in here as Alan, sign in, and as you can see, it behaves very similar to what the actual native experience does today. So here I'll click on the catalog. I showed you earlier when I was doing the Amazon demo what it was like. There's little to no difference between the two. I can turn this. You can see now it's adjusting or responding to the actual different screen sizes as I twist my phone, meaning it'll be the same application on tablets, on phones, on the web UI, making my life a little easier too, meaning that we only have to develop pieces of functionality once versus 3 times, which will increase the velocity of the features and so forth that we put out, and allowing us to spend more time on features, allowing us to spend more time on QA and so on and so forth. So some really good stuff happening there. Last but not least, a big new piece of functionality coming on 1811, which is a few days from now is a collaborator feature. This was the #1 idea in our communities. Our ideas based off all our customers. So what it does is allows the user to add others to their actual request and share and collaborate around that. So I'm going to walk through a quick example here on request a new computer. I'm able to come here. I'm able to request this. So on request, I fill out the simple form, request this, but now I'm able to add other people to this actual ticket. So on the collaborators, I'm going to go here, click on options. I can add or remove people to this ticket, or this request. So I'm going to add Bob, and I'm going to add Mary again. So I added those two to the request, and now they'll have view this actual ticket or request will actually get added to their actual timeline. Other things I can do now is for future requests, maybe I've got an ongoing team, I can save the selection as a default so that Bob and Mary will always show up as a defaulted list. I can clear the selections, and I can also enable for future requests. So if I click this, I come back, it'll be automatically defaulted to add Bob and Mary to the next request that I do. So on that note, I will be done. I'm just going to flip over into one of those, or into Bob's screen. So you can see Bob 1054. I just submitted the ability to request a computer. It's waiting for approval from Mary. He can go in here. He can add comments. He can add the request and collaborate on that ticket that Ellen had submitted. So that is all I have for you. Just for a quick summary, go through here. So I showed you the Aws Service Catalog, the ability for your cloud administrators to leverage CloudFormation templates to get what they need around security, reusability, and so forth out to your end users, so to enable your developers and so forth. I showed you asset management, the ability to introspect into a user's assets that he has in an organization and be able to pull that information from the CI to make it a lot easier on the service desk agents when something goes wrong. 1808, we release multi-user requests, the ability for an administrator to submit a request on behalf of more than one person, so you can do it for the whole office and so on and so forth. Subcatalogs, trying to alleviate the pain between business units and IT and give them the ability to manage their own catalog. I showed you a bit on the bundles and workflows, 2 ways to do a bundle. You can fire things off as separate requests, or you can create an Uber bundle and dive into the complexities and so forth that our process designer can provide you in terms of the extreme use cases. And then for futures, a progressive web application. We will be deprecating the native application, make this a lot easier for you to distribute the web application or the actual mobile application to your end users. And the last was the collaboration. This was the #1 idea in our communities around being able to share ticket status with others within your organization. On that note, I'd like to thank you for your attention.